Lesson number 2 is assessing the color of wine. The most important thing, in my opinion, that we can get from the color of a wine is telling its age. As wines age, they turn brown, essentially. So here we have a young wine and an old wine. These are both white wines, clearly. To assess the color, you want to hold it kind of on this angle with a white backdrop. If you have a colored backdrop, like the wooden table, then I can't really get a clear image of the color of the wine. So if I hold it over a white backdrop, then I can see it like I was coloring on the paper with it. So young wines tend to have kind of like this green undertone to them. You could refer to this as lemon in color, and also they're very pale. As they get older, they take on more color and they start to turn brown. So this greenish wine would actually swap over to more of a warm golden tone, and then eventually it would turn amber, and eventually it'll turn brown. Most wines, if they are brown, you have missed your opportunity to drink them, but you can still cook with it. So here we are. That's a young wine and an old wine, both white wines. With red wines, they don't gain color like white wine does. They actually lose color. With red wines, there's a few things that are going on. With the age, we'll start to see it turn brown as well. A young red wine will have kind of a bright red color and possibly with some blue undertones. So here I've got two wines that are actually quite similar in color. However, one is younger and one is older. The younger one has a consistent color right from the sort of center of the glass to the edge of where the wine is. This is called your core to rim variance. And the other one starts to fade slightly. And also the one that is fading slightly, we'll notice that it's getting this bit of a kind of a brick rust color at the edge of the glass. That is a sign that the wine is turning brown and that it is getting old. It's not a bad thing though. Some wines age really beautifully and you love to have a bit of an orangey colored wine. The other thing with red wines in particular is that we can get different intensities of color. This is not a sign of quality, this is a sign of the grape variety. So here I might use these two wines. I have a Pinot Noir and a Cabernet Sauvignon. In my left hand is the Pinot Noir. This is a thin skin grape. All of the color in a grape is actually in the skin of the grape. If the skin of the grape is thin to begin with, there's not a lot of color there that can be absorbed into the wine. Whereas if the skin is thicker, then there's more color to be absorbed into the wine. So that's more of a telltale sign of the grape variety that it is, rather than the quality of the wine. The next thing that we can tell from a wine is by looking at the legs of it. So that's when you swirl the glass and you just wait, and those drops will start falling down the glass. You might refer to these as legs or as tears. These can tell us two things about the wine. One, it can tell us the alcohol level. If the alcohol is high, the tears fall kind of slower and thicker. This is because one, alcohol is more viscous than water, so your wine is actually a little bit thicker. And secondly, that alcohol is evaporating as those tears are falling, so that kind of slows down the drip. Viscosity in your wine, or notably thick tears, can also indicate that there's sugar in the wine. Sugar, of course, is thick. If we put enough sugar in our wine, it'll basically be syrup. So now let's have a little look at, we'll do the Pinot Noir, give it a swirl and hold it up to the light, and we'll watch those tears fall. I don't know, they're kind of running pretty consistently. There's not a lot of color in them. They're coming down fast enough. Now I want to compare it to this wine. Swapping my wines around. This is a port. This is a fortified wine, meaning that alcohol has been added to it, so it's about 22% alcohol by volume. And you can see that those tears are just falling down now, and they're moving really slowly. Also, in addition to being high alcohol, it also is a sweet wine. So these are nice, slow, fat tears. Yeah, coming down really slowly. All of those things, except for the color assessment, you can also tell from tasting it, and I also feel you can assess it more accurately from tasting it. So that's what you should definitely get to. And that is the end of lesson 2 on color assessment of wine.